Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, A Taste of Ireland from Home. I'm Dan McDonald from Baxter Media, and today's Wednesday, June 10th. Now, just before we get into things, I'd like to check in with our viewers to let you all know that if you have any questions at all during this webinar, feel free to type them into the Q&A box found in your Zoom toolbar, and those questions will be answered in due time. Also, there will be several polls taking place today, so be sure to contribute answers so that your voice is heard. Speaking first today is Sandra Moffatt, Trade and Digital Marketing Executive for Tourism Ireland. Hi, Sandra. Thank you, and thank you all for being here.
Hi, Dan, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I am having some difficulties with my mic, so if at any point you guys can't hear me, Dan, if you can just let me know if I cut out at all, that'd be great.
For sure, okay.
Today we're doing a taste of Ireland, so a little bit of a foodie focus here. When you think of Ireland, do you think of food? If you do think of the food, what do you think of? Just type in the chat box there. We'd love to know what the first thing that comes to your mind is when you think of Irish food. And just a quick introduction to our speakers then. So first up we will have on the top left here Tracy Jeffrey. So Tracy is from Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen, a fantastic hands-on experience in Northern Ireland. And then we're very excited to have Kevin Duncan joining us today. So Kevin is from the Brody House Estate and Cookery School, a very, very well-known chef in Ireland, a fantastic partner of ours. We do a lot of work with Kevin, recently creating some custom videos so that you can learn how to cook some Irish recipes from the comfort of your own home. So make sure to check out our YouTube channel for that, our YouTube channel, and so you get some pro tips right from Kevin's very own kitchen. And then last but certainly not least, we'll hear from James Kilgannon from TEELING Whiskey Distillery right in the heart of Dublin City. Stay tuned for the entire duration of this session and be in with the opportunity to win Modern Irish Food, a fantastic cookbook by Chef Kevin Duncan. And as Dan said, if you have any questions throughout the session, just pop them in the chat box and we will be sure to address them at the end. We do have an interactive session today, so we'll also be busy with some fun quiz questions. So yeah, just a quick Ireland update. So I'll do that very fast. I might stop my video just to make sure. Maybe that's affecting my bandwidth a little bit. So a quick Ireland update. So we're all years travel once again, and as of June 29th, our hospitality sector, restaurants and hotels, is reopening. There'll be physical distancing measures and different policies in place, of course, but it is an exciting time just to have the country moving and reopening once again after this, challenging time we're in. Phase 4 is the final phase for reopening on July 20th. So that is where theaters, cinemas, events will also be permitted with appropriate numbers. And Air Canada are all beginning their flights from Toronto to Dublin next week, beginning on July 2nd. Ireland does currently have a 2-week quarantine in place for international arrivals. That's being reviewed on a bi-weekly basis. So as soon as we have it, that might affect your clients, we will be sure to share all that information with you guys. The next date that it's being reviewed is on June 18th. So just a few fun facts about Ireland's food. So we are an island nation. Our seafood is incredible. We're known for our Irish oysters, our Atlantic salmon. We also have fantastic dairy in Ireland. So we have grass-fed cows year round. And the big part in that grass is what gives Irish butter a rich yellow colour and a fantastic flavour. It's really difficult to find anywhere else in the world. And people are often really surprised at food in Ireland. So we actually held a virtual event with TV earlier this week on Monday night, and he's been in Ireland multiple times. He said to us one thing really stood out to him.
It was good, Sandra, and now it's breaking up again. I apologize for that.
Okay, what I'm going to do is skip right over to Tracy then. So Tracy, I'm just going to hand over to you quickly here, and I'll figure out my mic issue. But we'll do a quick quiz question first, just to give you a second there. Tracy, so if you want to launch that first polling question, that.
Yes, okay. So the first quiz question that we have this evening is, why do you think there is a cross or an X, if you like, put into the soda bread? You can just see it there on the screen. What would be the reason for that, do you think?
I know you guys should see the poll up on your screen. We'll just allow another 15 seconds or so. So here we go. We have a majority of people that have voted, so I will display the results here. There we go. Can you guys see that?
Yep, I can. Yeah.
Great. So we had a majority of people say to honor St. Patrick. We had 34% say to let the fairies out. And we had 21% say to make it easier to cut.
Okay. Can I give the answer now? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay, Sandra. So interesting that two, the let the fairies out and to honor St. Patrick, both of those answers have got more or less the same percentage, but the right answer is to let the fairies out. If you don't let the fairies out, they could put a curse on you. So it's really important to put a cross in your soda bannock. And I'm sure Kevin can tell you more about that whenever he's doing his soda bannock as well. So that is the right answer, of course. Okay. Okay, so will I go ahead and just give my presentation?
Yes, please, Tracy.
Yep, okay. So my name is Tracy Jeffrey, and I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this webinar. I am from beautiful County Down, from an area of outstanding natural beauty by the shores of Strangford Lough in Northern Ireland. Strangford Lough is the largest inlet of water in the British Isles, and we have 120 miles of beautiful coastline and rolling drumlins in this part of Northern Ireland. Where I am situated, my home, we're just on the corridor between Dublin and Belfast. So it's perfect. I'm perfect for a stop off if you're coming up from Dublin Airport, or indeed you're heading back that way towards the end of your stay. My offering is from my own home, and as you can see there, I live in an 18th century cottage, thatched cottage, just about 5 steps away from the water's edge. Believe it or not, there is actually a history of bread making here. I live here with my 2 boys, my husband, and various different animals. We have a few dogs, pigs, chickens, and so on. Excuse me 1 second. And I invite people into my home to make traditional breads. So we make soda bread, wheaten bread, potato bread, and I noticed someone said that was their favorite food that they enjoyed the most. Excuse me 1 second while I cough. Sorry about that. I just have a frog in my throat. So I invite guests into my home to roll up their sleeves and make their own soda bread, wheaten bread, or potato bread. We can also add dulse, which we can forage down at the shoreline to our potato bread. Everyone works with their own griddle. And at the end of that, then you have a collection of different traditional Irish breads. The breads that I make are really very local and typical to this area. And we work through the different terms like harning the bread and farls of bread and so on. This is where I live, just on Strangford Lough, and Strangford Lough has over 300 little islands dotted all over the lough. It's very, very scenic, very beautiful area. So I live just on the edge of Ballymoran Bay, which is one of the bays in the picture there. Okay, Sandra, thank you. So this is just exactly at my home here. I have to say I'm very lucky, and my kids are very lucky to live in an area like this. They frequently can go swimming or do various different water sports. And this is also a nature reserve. So we have the Brent geese actually coming from Canada over to rest on the drumlins of Strangford Lough during the autumn time. Very beautiful. Okay, thank you. So this is my one of my boys and our couple of dogs there. They're just slightly, maybe a little bit lower on the slide. And I have, as I say, 2 dogs and a pup at the minute. We have a small holding, so we don't have a fully fledged farm as such, but we do live off the animals that we have. So, you know, we do have our own Dexter beef and our own pork and so on from our pigs. Okay, Sandra, thank you. This is just one of the little chicks. And again, this is my son feeding the cows. This is a couple of lovely Canadian ladies, actually. They've just made their own potato bread. You're invited to obviously sit down around the table and enjoy my homemade treats. Everything on the table will be from the local area. So our hand-rolled award-winning Abernethy butter and Dulce butter and my homemade jams and different sweet treats and so on. Okay, Sandra, thank you. So this is just to let you know that I work a lot with multi-generational groups of people. I can take group sizes, well, pre-pandemic up to about 40. Now with the situation, in order to offer social distancing, I would probably take a maximum of about 15 people, and I can do that comfortably. Thanks, Sandra. This is very much about getting your sleeves rolled up and getting stuck in. This is just a picture of the main room in the house, and we just sit down at the end of it all like one big family and enjoy, whether it's lunch, and it will be a lunch of local produce, everything sourced from the local area. We have our organic salmon. We have Strangford is famous for its very, very high standard of shellfish. So lunch will always be local food that will be in season at the time. Thanks, Sandra. So just very kind of to sum up, I am only 30 minutes from Belfast, literally 30 minutes from the city centre. You will be rolling over the drumlins and all along the shoreline. I can offer my experience, which is part of the Embrace a Giant Spirit Tourism Northern Ireland experience, morning or afternoon, so it could be lunch or for morning coffee. You're invited to roll up your sleeves and get stuck in, or not, as you choose. Very much about making yourselves at home. You will obviously take away your bag of freshly griddled breads, and as they say in my experience through Tourism Northern Ireland, you come here as a guest and you will leave as a friend for sure. Thanks, Sandra. Just a couple more pictures. This is my kitchen area here. So we work around the island. Then there's a table behind there. And then the picture you saw earlier was in the main part of the barn. I also have another room, which is the same size again. Thanks, Sandra. This is just to give you an idea of the offering. So we have my homemade scones there with my jams. We have some wheaten bread. Wheaten bread is made with coarse ground wheat flour. It can be made in the oven or on the griddle, but these are all griddle breads, so they're made and ready to eat within about 15 minutes. Thanks, Sandra. This is an idea of lunch here. So we have our Burren balsamic vinegar, which is from a local provider not very far away. We have our award-winning cheeses, which are from Northern Ireland, a young buck, creamy blue cheese there. We have our dulce as well in the corner, and then our smoked salmon and so on. Yes, wheaten is my favorite too, Sue. Yes, absolutely love it. And in the background, we have our dulce butter, which is quite salty, absolutely delicious and full of iodine, actually really very good for you. Okay, thanks, Sandra. Just as well to show you that if you're having lunch, I can bring in musicians or, you know, maybe a lone person, maybe just playing a bit of music for you. These things are all possible in the house. Thank you. Okay, again, just another example there. It's good that I have, because I live in a barn, there's plenty of space with it. I also offer food tours, so that's through Northern Ireland Food Tours. This is a group of guests going out with our local farmer on an Irish safari. and they travel along with Damien, who shows him all of his cows and what he has in his farm and so on. The Dexter cow actually is a typical Irish cow, and it's smaller in breed. And you can see that they're just in the field. They're all grass fed, as Sandra mentioned earlier. And after we've done the Irish safari and travelled around the farm, then we're invited to enjoy a great barbecue with all of the meat, which is prepared there on the farm. Thank you, Sandra. Okay, so there are obviously other little animals there in the farm as well. This is just a little piglet. You can pick them up, you can hear their story, and Damien the farmer is an absolute character. You will definitely be entertained. What I do on these tours is I bring guests just focusing on County Down. I don't really go outside of County Down as such, but we have so much to offer in this county, so much. Thank you, Sandra. This is a group of guests out foraging. This is just across the water into Portaferry, and they're all in areas of outstanding natural beauty, and this is just by the shores of Strangford Lough. So for lunch we had fish that was cooked on coals in the ground, local craft beers, our own homemade butter, and so on. It was absolutely fantastic day. Thanks, Sandra. Couple more pictures of the Dexters there. How they got in again. Thank you, Sandra. This is just at my home again, and this is just to finish, to show that I have just recently been awarded 5 stars by Tourism Northern Ireland. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm one of the 23 experiences that they have chosen to take to the world travel market with them. So I am part of the new brand, and I'm certainly very excited about it. It was cut a bit short for us this year. This was to be our best year ever, but we'll be back on track as soon as we can, and we'll be better than ever we were. So I'm very much looking forward to welcoming groups to, thanks Jonathan, very much looking forward to welcoming your groups to my home, and to meet my family, and to come and taste the amazing food offering that we have in County Down and in Northern Ireland as a whole. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
And Sandra, let's see how your audio is working now. There we go.
Any luck now?
Yes, definitely. I can hear you.
Brilliant. Sorry about that, guys. There's always tech issues with these things, so I appreciate your patience. I will hand straight over now to Chef Kevin Dundon. Before we do that, we're just going to do another quick poll. So, Dan, if you just want to launch that poll.
Yes, definitely. So give me 1 second here. So I just launched the polling. Please submit your questions, and we'll give it about 50 or so seconds, 50 or 60 seconds until I close it.
Oh, we definitely made this one too easy.
Yeah, it's almost unanimous there. See, 75% voted. Okay, I'll let that percentage go a bit higher. Everyone, please,
Rebels
please vote.
sauce with their lamb, no? Okay, yeah, this is pretty unanimous.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so here we go. I'll just end that. So we had 100% of respondents say mint sauce.
Surprise, surprise.
Don't worry, next one's harder. All right, so now I'll hand straight over to Chef Kevin Dundon. Kevin, take it away.
Thank you very much. Am I actually doing the slides? Just
No,
can
just
we
cue
do
me in.
the slide from here? Excellent. So good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Dundon, and I want to welcome you virtually, of course, to Dunbrody Country House Hotel and Estate. It's fantastic to join you here today, and I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to show you all around my hotel and around Dunbrody, what we have to offer. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce you to our location. Yeah. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce you to our location. I'm sure you're all heard the expression by hook or by crook. Well, this is where it came from. When Oliver Cromwell was planning to invade, the next slide.
Next slide there, Sandra.
Yeah, perfect. There you can see the Hook Peninsula there, the Hook Lighthouse. Cromwell was planning to conquer Ireland, or the city of Waterford, by hook or by crook. So Dunbrody House is on the Hook side of the peninsula, and we overlook Crook, and that is the way he was going to invade.
Next slide.
Next slide. Yeah, moving forward hundreds of years, when my wife Catherine and I were on the lookout for a country house, hotel and estate, we started our own business from we landed here in the Hook Peninsula, where we discovered Dunbrody House, which was built in 1830. It's a wonderful example of Irish Georgian architecture. Spacious, airy rooms with 14-foot ceilings, open fires in nearly every room, gorgeous grounds, but most importantly, a warm, welcome atmosphere, which we felt straight away for. Next slide. My long life of the love of food has made me a chef dedicated to amazing natural flavors and indigenous Irish ingredients. I guess that's kind of what I'm really about, is using fantastic ingredients from the local area and kind of throwing a spin on it and giving it an imaginative flair. And I think, and I always kind of describe Dunbrody House as a chef's paradise, because we've got beautiful grounds here with kitchen gardens and herb gardens. We're right on the coast, so we're getting fresh fish daily, and basically it's literally whatever's coming to my kitchen doors on a daily basis is what's going on in the menu every night. And I think that's really, really important. And it's like when people eat in Dunbrody House and they taste the vegetables, and it's because and they say they're amazing, it's because they're actually coming out of the ground that day. So take carrots, they're so sweet and beautiful, and we just cook them simply and let the ingredients speak for itself. And I think that's kind of the difference. Like, I've worked all over the world, and one thing I have to say is that we are truly blessed with the indigenous ingredients that we have in Ireland. So therefore, we don't really need to do a lot with them. We let the ingredients speak for themselves. Next slide. So like, coupled with my food focus and our joint ethos on hospitality and guest experience, you should be getting a good idea of what we're all about in Dunbrody House. From a very warm welcome and fond farewell, we want your guests to enjoy all the wonderful experiences that they can experience between the two. Because I think it's important, like in Dunbrody House, we want to welcome your guests and our guests into our house to enjoy a beautiful surrounding that Dunbrody has to offer, but also give them fantastic food and great Irish hospitality. I think that's what we pride ourselves. Once you arrive and step inside, you'll immediately step back in time, while all the modern comforts you expect from a luxury hotel is part and parcel of Dunbrody. It's an instant relaxation feeling that comes over you that's different here. When Cash and myself were looking around Ireland for a country house, we looked at many country houses from Dublin down the East Coast. And as soon as Cash and myself walked into Dunbrody House, there was an instant welcome, which was rare in the houses that we saw. And we both instantly fell in love with it. And time again, our guests get that feeling as they walk through the doors. It's just this instant kind of weight off your shoulders of relaxation. So next slide then. You discover the warm, earthy colors from this Georgian era. You'll feel cozy and homely feel from our guests. Always tell us how they just love the house and the feel. That's kind of what I was explaining to you. Cozy corners and open fires to relax, which feed up on the sunny spots on the terrace. There's plenty of options. In summertime, all the public rooms have French doors opening out onto the terrace and sunken garden. It's a fabulous spot if you just want to really indulge in a couple of your senses, whether it's the beautiful perfumes of the roses or the evening bird song. I can assure you that it's very hard to drag yourself away from it. Sunset cocktails before dinner tends to last a little bit longer here. Next slide. Once you drag yourself away from, you can continue your indulgence in the senses in the Harvest Room restaurant, where our menu celebrates the delicious ingredients from the area. Your taste buds will really appreciate the freshness of the fish landed on the same day and hitting your plate. Wexford is famous for the quality ingredients we enjoy, and maybe it's because we have the highest amount of sunny days in Ireland that our strawberries are so good. It's amazing when you pick up a strawberry, particularly at this coming in July, August, and you pop one into your mouth. They're so sweet, you don't need any sugar, and you kind of go, wow, that's what a strawberry should taste like. Next slide, please. So we definitely practice true, like a lot of chefs will talk about this, but we truly practice farm to fork. And so after dinner, good night's sleep and to enjoy the choice of individual style rooms, which we offer our guests an opportunity to enjoy the comforts of our gracious Georgian bedrooms. I guess when you're talking about an 1830 Georgian manor, there's no two rooms the same. So therefore there's no two rooms decorated the same. So it's, and that's what's unique about Dunbrody House, that everybody, like if two or three couples come and stay together, you hear them talking about the rooms and they say, oh, I love my room because it's got this, and someone else is talking. So it's not kind of a blanket hotel. So and I think that's what makes Dunbrody really, really special. Next slide, please. I have to say our grounds in Dunbrody really are a joy. Whether it's the fresh herb selection from our kitchen garden, or the colours of sunken flower garden, or the woodlands walks to experience a really great way for guests to get back to nature. Catherine has been busy in trolling the benefits of forest bathing concept to me. I had to ask her, in fairness, what that was about. And she told me that it was like walking through the forest, absorbing the green, and just kind of losing yourself for an hour or two walking through the woods. And I have to agree, we do it daily, so it's absolutely beautiful just to do. So we have 22 bedrooms in the hotel. It's a combination of suites to superior rooms and deluxe rooms. We also have 3 guest lodges. So we have a cozy cabin, which is voted in the top 50 places to stay in Ireland as unique stays in Ireland. We have a 3-bedroom Stewart's house, which is a lodge with 2 bathrooms in it, and then we've got the Gate Lodge. So we have plenty of accommodation, and all different types of accommodation for different budgets as well, which is brilliant. So people, all levels of people can enjoy what Dunbrody has to offer. And then this is my little surprise to you, is 6 years ago we decided that we'd open a little pub on the grounds of Dunbrody House. So it's literally 50 yards from the front door of the hotel, and it was an old coach house. And I loved going down to the pub after service, after I finished in the kitchen, just for a pint. And I meet local people and guests from the hotel who come down and enjoy a pint. And of course, you can enjoy super food in there. We do like a wood burning pizza oven. I've been told that it's the best fish and chips in Ireland, but I'd have to say that to you anyways. But they are truly brilliant because the fish is fresh that day from the local seas, and the potatoes are grown. And also on the Hook Peninsula, our potatoes are stunning because we have a sandy soil. So this drainage on the soil is really good. So you get this lovely flowery, fluffy potato, crispy on the outside. That batter with that fresh cod inside, it just, when you break through that beer batter, that cod just kind of steams up at you and it's just flaking away. And with homemade tartar sauce, my God, it's beautiful. So next slide, please. So, and then for the foodie guests, real foodie guests, we have a cookery school in Dunbrody House. So, and we offer 1 day, 2 days, and 5-day courses. 5-day course is a master course. The 2-day courses, we have a lot of guests that have come from Canada that would incorporate a 1-day cookery course or a 2-day cookery course just in their stay, because one of the parties might want to do the cookery course, the other partner can do a number of other things, because there's amazing walks. There's 14 beaches within a 5-minute drive from Dunbrody House. We have our own private beach as well, which is wonderful to walk on. You've got Tintern Abbey to the Kennedy Homestead. You've got Dunbrody Abbey, which was built in 1200, and then you've got the oldest lighthouse, working operational lighthouse in the world, the Hook Lighthouse, which is unbelievable to go and visit. And you go up to the top of the lighthouse, and the views out of the Hook Head and the Irish Sea is just absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't matter whether it's a rainy day or a sunny day, because it's just a beautiful scenery. So Dunbrody is a fabulous year-round, cozy and warm in the winter, wide open to the nature in the summer. But my favorite time is the autumn or the fall, as we just love the colors, the harvest ingredients, the nights closing into it, snuggling up inside beside the fire. We have a number of fires lighting every day in Dunbrody House. We would have 3 fires anyways lighting every day in Dunbrody House, and we burn turf and wood on it. So there's these lovely kind of warm feeling that you just want to sit there and drink an Irish coffee by the fire. Catherine and I are here to welcome you all year round, and we're thrilled to look after your guests and make sure, and even yourselves, and make sure that they really get the full Dunbrody Country House experience of their choice. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I can also taste the fish and chips from that description.
Good.
I can smell them, I can taste them, I want to be back there. While I have you guys on audio, I'm just going to flip back and just run you through some of my highlights for traditional Irish food, just while my audio is working here. So we are known for our contemporary food, but we also have some traditional classics. And so does anyone know what is pictured here? Write in the chat box if you know what this is. So this is barmbrack. It is a traditional cake. You serve it on Halloween. So Ireland is the home of Halloween, Samhain, a Celtic harvest festival, and traditions would include carving turnips instead of pumpkins, or dressing up toward evil spirits away in case they negatively affected the crops. But another tradition on Halloween was barmbrack. So what you do is soak sultanates and raisins in tea and sometimes whiskey, depending on your family recipe. Either overnight, or some people soak them for weeks at a time to get the deep, rich flavor. And in it, you hide different trinkets. So if you find a penny in your barmbrack, it means that you're going to be rich. If you find a little tiny piece of cloth, it means that you are going to be poor. And if you find a ring, you're going to be married. And if you find a thimble, you are destined to singledom for life. So nobody wants to find the thimble in the barmbrack. And Ireland's food traditions go way, way back. So we do have a huge ancient history. And so far back that here in County Mayo are the oldest farming fields in the world. This is the Céide Fields in County Mayo, over 5,500 years old, and the earliest intact evidence of a farmer keeping animals in one place. So it's a really cool site to go and visit. It is a UNESCO Neolithic heritage site. And at this site, you can explore the history of the people and their farming ways. You can also explore their spiritual beliefs. So it's a really nice site to visit when you're up on the west coast of Ireland. Another quiz question for you. Hopefully this is going to be a little bit trickier than the lamb and mint sauce one that you all got so quickly. So Dan, if you can launch the first polling question.
Absolutely. Here we go. Let me go back to question 1. There we go.
So what is the name of the traditional Irish dish pictured on the left? So the stack there. Do you want to start voting on that one? Colcannon, boxty, badge bread, or blah? Okay, this is a little bit trickier. Good to see.
And if you guys aren't 100% sure, just give it your best shot.
Exactly. Oh, neck and neck between boxty and badge bread. So Colcannon is it's like a champ, like a mashed potato. Blah is bread made in Waterford. So neither of those. You're both correct. I'm not voting for those. Badge bread is a bread made in Northern Ireland, and the one on the left is actually boxty. So for the 41% of you who voted boxty, you guys got that one right.
Excellent.
So most of you have a good knowledge of Irish food by the looks of it. I love boxty. It's a very traditional hearty dish, but you can get it all over Ireland. It's really nice. It's like a potato pancake made with mash and grated potato. So then before I hand over to our whiskey expert, James, we can't talk about all the Irish food without touching on the drinks as well. So we are known for the blackstrap or Guinness. The Guinness Storehouse is actually the most popular tourist attraction in Ireland, I believe. It is in the centre of Dublin, and it's a great spot to go. The inside of the building is shaped like a pint glass. It's really cool architecturally, and you can get panoramic views of Dublin City from their rooftop gravity bar that they've just doubled the capacity of very recently. And the cool thing about this is, or one of the many cool things about this, is that it was originally leased in 1759 to Arthur Guinness. At £45 per year for 9,000 years. So St. James's Gate here in Dublin has been the home of Guinness ever since, because who wouldn't want rent prices like that? And we do also have a lot of whiskey distilleries across the island. So again, I'll leave that to James to chat about. But first, a question. So what do you get when you cross geology, here's the Giant's Causeway, for example, with whiskey? Any ideas? When you mix geology with whiskey, you get whiskey on the rocks. So whiskey on the rocks is a very new experience in Northern Ireland. It is the opportunity to get a glass of Bushmills whiskey on the Giant's Causeway. So a guide from Bushmills Distillery nearby the Giant's Causeway will meet with a National Trust guide from the causeway itself, and you get to visit this site after hours, so when nobody else is around, and you get to mix the tour of the Giant's Causeway site with a nice whiskey tasting experience. So this is part of the Embrace the Giant Spirit brand in Northern Ireland. It's a brand new brand. And the great thing about these experiences as part of this brand, there's 23 signature experiences, and they can only be booked by the travel trade. So it's exclusive to you and gives you something really unique to be able to offer to your clients. Ireland's also going through a bit of a gin revolution at the moment, a personal favourite of mine, and there are lots of brands of Irish gin available in Canada. So like Glendalough, that's infused with botanicals from Glendalough in County Wicklow, or Drumshanbo gunpowder, amongst a few others. And we do also, of course, have Irish poitín. So every country has its own spirit, tequila or grappa. We have poitín, so it's our original craft spirit. It's affectionately known as Irish moonshine, and the word poitín, pronounced there, stems from the Irish word putta for pot. So that refers to the copper pot still used by the distillers way back when. It dates back to the 6th century, was made illegal, like many of moonshine spirits, for many, many years. But as of 1997, it is regulated and it is legal, and TEELING actually do a great poitín. It is not for the faint of heart, though, I would say. So with that, while we're talking all things drinks, I will pass over to James. But we will first do another interactive polling question here. So if you would like to launch that polling question for me, Dan.
Yeah, that's question 4. Here we go.
Yeah. So how many whiskey distilleries are there on the island of Ireland?
The 4 options are 12, 17, 25, and 31. A bunch of votes coming in now. Thank you, guys. Even if you're not 100% sure, just take your best guess.
A few more votes coming in. Okay, so most of you have voted. 80% of you have voted. So Dan, do you want to share the results there?
There we go. A majority of you chose 25.
So there are actually 31 distilleries across the island of Ireland. Irish whiskey is the world's fastest growing brown spirit, and 17 of these distilleries are also visitor centres. So your clients can explore the history and making of the spirit. And the Liberties area in Dublin is the heart of whiskey production in Ireland. And I'll hand over to James to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, how are you doing, everybody? So my name's James. I'm the distillery brand ambassador for TEELING whiskey. I actually, funnily enough, used to actually be a geologist, but been working in the alcohol industry for about 10 years. So with all the traveling around, I eventually ended up coming back and working for TEELING whiskey, which is, I've been there for 3 years now, and it's a fantastic company to work for, and truly represents where the Irish whiskey industry is going. So what I'm going to be talking about is TEELING whiskey, and that's whiskey with an E. And I like to say, so Scotland would spell it without the E. Ireland would spell it with the E. There's no real reason for it. I just like to think that the E stands there for excellent, because I truly think Irish whiskey is excellent. So what you're seeing here is this is our distillery. So when you look at our whiskey distillery, you can forget about rolling hills and mountains and brooks and rivers and all that. That's not us. We're very much of an urban whiskey distillery. We're about 10 minutes walk from anywhere of interest in Dublin City. We're kind of renowned as a hidden gem. And in the building that you see there, that's where all of our production happens. So in there, there's a cafe for our locals who are coming in or people working in the area. We've also got our tours that we run. We have a bar. We have our gift shop that supplies 66 different markets worldwide. And then also all of our distillation, maturation offices and everything. So very much in the heart of Dublin. And in regards to coming there, we actually don't charge entrance for a tour. Yeah, there is a charge to come in and do a tour, but if people want to come in and just browse around or have a look, everybody's welcome to come into our distillery. So on the next slide, what you're going to see is you're actually going to see our two owners. So these are Jack in the left and Stephen on the right. So the Jack and Stephen TEELING, they're two brothers, and we're actually proud that we are an independent family-owned company. So we chat every single day. We're a very small kind of family style of whiskey distillery. Our kind of branding on ourselves, we call ourselves Team TEELING, because it's very much of a team effort. So these two guys would have gotten their foot into the industry from their dad's distillery, Cooley, and that's where they learned the kind of tricks of the trade, and they supplied a lot of whiskey to a lot of other people. Never putting the TEELING name on it, except for very exclusive, kind of very small batch whiskies. So in 2012, Jack and Stephen decided that they would build their own distillery for themselves, for the TEELING family. And it's been a success. So in 2012, we started the brand TEELING Whiskey. And in 2015, we actually opened the doors to our distillery and started production. And actually in last year, we actually won Best Tour kind of Irish Visitor Experience by People to Ireland. So very much something we're proud of creating award-winning whiskey, but also good experience. I'll give you, on the next slide, you're going to see someone who's very important to us at TEELING Whiskey. It's actually our master distiller. So Alex Chasko is from the United States. He's from Portland in Oregon. And for those of you that know Portland, you know there's a huge craft beer scene that is present in Portland. So he would have worked there running breweries and then went on to distillation. So he would have worked with Jack and Stephen in the previous distillery as head of innovation, and very much became part of the TEELING family. So he came with us, and we credit him a lot for innovation, pushing the boundaries, and a lot of the award-winning whiskey that we're actually producing at the moment. If you ever get the opportunity to talk to Alex or ever listen to him, he's a fascinating guy. So on the next slide, what you're going to see is our logos. So our logo is Phoenix, and it's not because we're Harry Potter fans. It's because we want to represent the way that Irish whiskey has come through a resurgence. As Sandra said earlier, Irish whiskey is the fastest growing brown spirit in the world, and it's really exploding to a whole new demographic of drinkers. It's not the old kind of really expensive exclusive whiskies that people are drinking now, done by the rich and the prosperous. It's very much of a younger more flavor searching consumer at the moment. So we want to represent the rebirth of Dublin whiskey and the rise of Irish whiskey. And everything that we do, we stand by these three words that we have here. So quality, we stand by the experience we give to every single person that comes in the door, whether or not they are just looking for a good experience, or they own a distillery, or they're a whiskey connoisseur. We're going to treat each of them absolutely the same, because we want to ensure that the quality of their experience is paramount. And also the quality of the liquid in the bottle. If we can't stand by the liquid in the bottle, that's the most important for us. We also push the boundaries, so that's why we have innovation. We're trying to see how far we can expand Irish whiskey. And then also community. So we don't want to be a distillery in Dublin. We want to be Dublin's distillery. We want to include everybody who is around in the area. So an interesting thing you'll see on the next slide is the history of Dublin, very much why we are placed in Dublin. So this triangle that you can see here, and that's where we are located in Newmarket Square. So in the 1800s, this was where 60% of the entire global spirit trade came from. So there's 37 active distilleries here outputting a monumental amount of whiskey. And unfortunately, there's only 31 distilleries in Ireland at the moment. And in 1976, you're talking about there was only 2 real operating distilleries in Ireland. So all of these distilleries that would have operated in Dublin shut down. So they closed due to a number of reasons. I could give an hour-long history lesson on world wars and that, and why all these distilleries collapsed. But Dublin whiskey went from 60% to 2% in about a generation of the world's trade. So there was not a single pot still operating, and it's very much of the reason why we decided to revive Dublin whiskey, bringing it back to our logo as a phoenix. So in the next slide, what you're going to see is another reason of why we decided to open our distillery in Dublin. So as a family whiskey distillery, if you look at a lot of the alcohol industry, you always hand it down from family member to family member. So in 1782, we can trace back distilling in the TEELING family. So everyone knows Jameson, but Jameson had a little known brother called William Jameson, not John, but William Jameson. And his next door neighbor in Dublin was Walter Teeling in 1782. And he had a little family micro distillery operating there. So that distillery during the collapse of Dublin whiskey industry would have been closed. So we wanted to get as close as possible with our new distillery to the heritage that is there. Unfortunately, a lot of people have apartments there, so we couldn't acquire that site. So we built our distillery in an old furniture warehouse. So I'm going to show you some images on the next slides, which is kind of areas in our distillery. So a lot of what we do is combining the old, so that rich heritage of Dublin whiskey distilling, but also innovation, the new kind of tricks of the trade and pushing the boundaries. So we have, in the top left, you'll see our 3 copper pot stills. So these were handmade by master coppersmiths in Siena in Italy. And they are very reminiscent of traditional Dublin style pot stills, because we wanted to kind of look at the spirit that would have been made during the 1800s in Dublin. You can also see our fermenters. So in the bottom right, you'll see that we have 2 wooden fermenters. And that's us again trying to kind of marry the tradition of the stainless steel, which is very, very efficient, and then also the kind of traditional style of wooden fermenters that you would have seen in the 1800s. And then we have a beautiful tasting area. So you can see in one of them, you see a bottle of small batch on a little pod. That's where we actually, our guides in the distillery will bring you through the tour, teach you everything about Irish whiskey, everything about kind of Dublin history, but then also finish up with a whiskey tasting of our kind of flagship range. And I'll tell you, if you do come to the distillery, it doesn't look as clean as that with the lovely picture in the back. It's all wrote on, because we encourage every single person who comes into our distillery to leave a mark on the wall, because as a new company, we're 5 years old next week. We're basically trying to we want people to come on the journey with us. So on the next slide, you can see a kind of closer image of our Oregon pine fermenters. So just to kind of showcase how close you can get. So when we built this distillery, we really tried to build it to create the best tasting whiskey, the most flavorsome, the most adaptable whiskey distillery. But we also knew that the way people experience things these days is a little bit different. So we wanted to be as immersive as possible. So it's a raised platform around. And when you come in here, it's warm. I was in there today, it's about 30 degrees Celsius. It smells of malt. We're doing a little bit of peat at the moment, so there's a little bit of smoke in the air. But when you come here, you actually get to really get your head in those fermenters. So you can see they're open. You can really smell all of the yeast, all of the barley being cooked up. You can hear the pot stills. You can feel the warmth, and you can really be part of the process. In the next slide as well, a little bit of a hint to our family links. So Walter Teeling, operating down the road in 1782. Our two owners, Jack and Stephen, being brothers. These three pot stills are called Alison, Natalie, and Rebecca. They are Jack Teeling's three daughters. So hopefully they take the reins of the company later on and start running those stills themselves. And a little side note, Stephen actually has two daughters as well. So there's 5 daughters in the company who are going to take over the reins. Now, I will say the oldest of those is 8. So we have a number of years to go before they get the chance to actually even drink the product we produce. But it's a nod to them to include them in the process. So hopefully they take on the mantle of Teeling whiskey. So enough about the distillery. We're going to talk about the whiskey. We try to innovate as much as possible. So everything we do is on small batch. So there's a phrase, quantity over quality. We focus on quality. We don't care about how much whiskey we make. We want to make the best flavor whiskey. So every single barrel that we use is hand selected. We go out, we check that as the best quality. We only do stuff in 60 barrel batches. So it means that our whiskey is very flavorsome. A little bit more difficult to control when you're trying to make it like that, but it gives us a lot of chance to get the best flavors there. And then also our whiskey is as pure as possible. It's gluten-free, it's organic ingredients. We only work with Irish organic barley producers, and we don't take anything out of the whiskey. We don't put anything in. So the 3 whiskeys you see there. So the red whiskey is a corn-based whiskey, and this is aged in Cabernet Sauvignon. The middle whiskey you see, this is our flagship blended whiskey, and it's a Central American rum whiskey, aged whiskey. And then the right-hand side is our single malt, and this has been aged in 5 different varieties of wine barrels. So when you come to our distillery, you always get the opportunity to try those 3 whiskeys. And there's very few people I've known that hasn't enjoyed one of them. We try to make very different and contrasting products. So on the next slide, you're going to see another thing that we do. So we work a lot with local producers, whether or not they're tea producers or cheese producers, chocolate and whatnot, but also different spirit producers, because we want to innovate and develop our flavors as much as possible. So in different markets and all around the world, we have different products. So some of the ones you see in front of us on the slides are some of our beer collaborations, where we've worked with guys who are making barley wine, with strong ales, with stouts. And we've also done stuff for Finland, where we're aging our whiskey in gin casks. And then we've also done stuff in Germany and Australia with Riesling casks, Shiraz casks. So we always want to work with like-minded producers worldwide, but also give something back that's unique to a country. So some of these whiskeys are only available in certain markets. So there's some whiskeys that you may try traveling after this, and I may have barely tried them myself. So I'm going to show you next something that I'm very, very proud of. This is our single pot still. So single pot still whiskey is the poaching that Sandra was talking about earlier, but when you put it into a cask, it becomes whiskey. So you have to age for 3 years and 1 day to be considered Irish whiskey. The 1 day was in there simply because the Scottish law said 3 years. So Irish whiskey is 1 day better than Scottish whiskey. And it actually, that's what was the law, but now it is 3 years. So this whiskey is the first Dublin distilled whiskey in nearly 50 years. Since the last distillery shut down in 1976. We are the first distillery to open in 125 years, and we are the first people to release a whiskey. So we've got to experience this by the grain, the barley coming into the distillery. We then mixed it in with water to get all the sugar. We put in our yeast to make alcohol out of it, and then we distilled it, we aged it, and we tasted it every moment of the process. So very proud moment for us to see our distillery start from the ground brickwork all the way to getting the whiskey into the bottle. And we just won Best Pot Still in the Irish Whiskey Awards, and then also a great award from the Irish Food Writers Guild. Fantastic to be able to get some accolades for that product. And as well as this, so on the next slide, what you see is our 24-year-old. So it's been a journey for us. We have some very old family reserve whiskey, and we're trying to push the boundaries of what flavors we can put in it. And we became last year the first Irish whiskey ever to win World's Best Single Malt. And this is a 24-year-old whiskey, 21 years in a bourbon cask, 3 years in a top quality Sauterne cask. It's a dessert wine from France. And to be able to get that award, to become the first Irish whiskey to pick up the top accolade at the World Whiskey Awards was tremendous. And it really is a nod to where the Irish whiskey industry is going. So hopefully one of the whiskies we release this year can win that award again, but it's great for the industry as a whole that we're included together. So in addition to doing tours of different styles and that, we also have fully functioning kind of function rooms upstairs. We have a private bar, a balcony, we can host dinners, we can do cheese pairings, chocolate pairings, and you can really have a private and intimate experience. We've had musicians up there, comedy nights, and a lot of different events. So utilizing that space and kind of bringing a private area for people to, one, enjoy whiskey in comfort and enjoy Irish produce and local products in the comfort of Teeling Whiskey Distillery is very important for us. So we've done stuff like, done huge things like painting workshops and really trying to utilize that space as much as possible. So the next slide is just kind of a recap on this year. So I don't know with the whole thing at the moment, I don't know if 2020, what this slide is going to look like. But last year, winning World's Best Single Malt, we had 500,000 visitors in our distillery. Since we opened up, we've sold over 1 million bottles of whiskey and exporting to 65 international markets. So we had a little bit of a slowdown, obviously, with the world, what's happening at the moment. But we've just, as Sandra said, great news that we can reopen up and the Irish kind of industry coming again. So we've just reopened our cafe and we've just reopened our gift shop in the distillery to get people in. Locals are happy to be able to come in and have a chat and have their mocha or latte or buy some whiskey. And then we're also due on the 29th to reopen for tours. So we can do social, we have a huge facility, so we can do social distance tours and really get people in again, smelling whiskey, drinking whiskey, and just having a good time, which is very important for us. But yeah, guys, just to say thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, James.
That was brilliant, James. Thank you so much. And yeah, Teeling is available, I think, across most of Canada, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're in LCBO. I will say those Trinity range, the single grain, single malt, and small batch blend is available in LCBO and across Canada, as far as I'm aware. And we actually have, I'm not too sure which stores it's in, but we have 2 releases, the barley wine and the dark ale that I was talking about. They're only available in Canada. So when I went over to Canada, I was actually lucky to try those for the first time, which was great.
Oh, amazing. I know nothing replaces tasting Irish whiskey in Ireland, but while we can't travel at the moment, I definitely recommend people go and grab a bottle.
I would say
and so, yeah, big thank you to all of our presenters today. So thank you, James, thank you, Tracy, thank you, Kevin. We'll open up to questions now in a moment, but just wanted to give you all a brief update on what we're doing here in Tourism Ireland. So we have a campaign running at the moment called Fill Your Heart with Ireland. It's lots of inspirational content, you know, a bit of dream now, travel later, although hopefully we'll be traveling sooner rather than later. So you'll find a lot of content on our channels, you know, whether it's ancestry, wellness, outdoors and activities, there's lots of stuff there. So do keep an eye on our social media channels for that. A gentle reminder about our Ireland Specialist program. If anybody is not an Ireland Specialist, I highly recommend that you become one. Visit trades.ireland.com and we have our training course there. It's quite short and you can specialize in various different modules depending on what your specialization is. So whether it is outdoor and activity or luxury, there's lots of different specialization modules that you can take there. And another reminder about our exclusive Facebook group for Canadian agents. So if you aren't on this, it is an exclusive group for Canadian agents covering all things Ireland. So go to the Facebook page, Discover Ireland CA, click on groups, and then you can request access from there. So all you need to do is tell us your agency name or your consortia and what you want to learn more about for Ireland. Then we can admit access. Lots of information there about, you know, webinars, virtual events, virtual fam trips, real fam trips when they become available, and lots more where that came from. And if you have any questions, it is a group, so it's a two-way interactive group. So if you have any questions or need to know anything about Ireland, you can just write there and we'll get back to you, you know, within 24 hours. It's also where you'll find all the latest updates on Ireland reopening and our air access and everything like that. So do make sure that you are a part of that group to get the updates as soon as they become available. And then let us know how we can support you. So we do have all of these resources available. We do educational webinars. We can do virtual FAMs or, you know, virtual sales calls to your agencies. We have a monthly trade newsletter, so make sure you're signed up for that on our website. And if there is anything else that we can do to support you, just reach out and let me know, and we'll be sure to set whatever we can up for you. A big thank you again to our panelists. So here's everybody's contact information. We will circulate this by email to you all as well, so don't worry about taking it down, and we'll make sure that you have all of our suppliers' email addresses in your inbox. And now we'll open it up for questions. So Dan, if you wouldn't mind just reading out some questions as they come through there.
Absolutely.
And if
Thank
anyone
you
has
so
any
much,
questions
Sandra.
they want answered, yeah, just pop them in the chat box.
That's right. And the Q&A icon, if you haven't located it yet, is the second from the left in your Zoom toolbar. So that's when you can submit questions. And while we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll read out some of the comments that were submitted. Jonathan says, you can't beat Tracy's wheaten bread. And then almost immediately after that, Sue chimed in and said, wheaten is my favorite.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. And Sue, yes, I would have to say it's my favorite as well because it's lovely and crunchy and yeah, very good. Okay.
To see if you coming in there, what's the maximum group size to bake with, Tracy?
The maximum group size would be about 20 or so, and that's with the social distancing. So it could be a lot bigger. It could be 40 if I don't have to social distance, but at the minute, that's what I would say. Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
And of course, we have a couple of questions that came in that were addressed to Kevin. So let's see. Oh, right. So Ellen asks, how many rooms are in the Dunbrody Country House and Estate?
So we have 22 rooms within the house itself, and then we've got 3 guest lodges. So one cozy cabin, which is a 3-bedroom cabin in the woods. We have a 3-bedroom lodge with a full kitchen, 2 sitting rooms, and 3 bedrooms. And then we've got the gate lodge with two bedrooms and a sitting room and full kitchen.
That's amazing. And Suzanne asks, how far are you from Dublin?
So from Dublin Airport, now with the new road infrastructure and the new bridge across from Waterford to us, we're about an hour and 45-minute drive from Dublin Airport. So it's a lovely drive down as well.
Oh, I bet it is. Yeah, not bad at all. And Kathy asked a question that I can address. She said, will this presentation be recorded for future watching? Yeah, definitely, Kathy. So the recording of this webinar will go up on the Baxter Media YouTube channel tomorrow morning. So definitely before lunchtime tomorrow, you'll see it on the Baxter Media YouTube channel. So yeah, if you search for Baxter Media on YouTube, we're the one that has about 120-ish subscribers. And all of our webinars are archived on there, and you'll see our blue logo with the white background. Oh, and Paige says, this has been my favorite webinar I've seen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paige.
Thanks, Paige. That's great to hear. I see Alison's also asking to go over the dates that things are opening again, please. So again, apologies for my tech problems there. So the Quick Ireland update is that we are reopening the hospitality sector, so restaurants and hotels and attractions on June 29th. So the final phase for reopening on Ireland is July 20th, and that's when cinemas and theatres and events up to a certain capacity will begin to go ahead as well. And we do have a direct route with Air Canada launching on July 2nd, 4 times a week from Toronto into Dublin.
Amazing. And just a couple more comments that have come into the chat box here. Alison, a different Alison says, Bacon Batches was my favorite drink to come across in Ireland. And let's see. Margie says, thank you everyone for the travel and the travel information. It was very inspiring.
Thank you.
Great. And as I said, like the recording of this session will be available, and we'll also follow up with everybody by email. So you'll have all of our speakers' email addresses. So if you do have questions for them, you can always reach out directly, and the same with myself. So anything that you need to know about Ireland, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time.
Sandra, can I say something, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited to say that I'm back on your TV screens again this Monday, the 15th of June on Your Morning in Toronto. So I'll wave at you all. So tune in, and we'll be cooking up some great food. This is my 3rd time on Your Morning, so it seems to be a regular event, which is great. And we're filming directly live from Dunbrody House here in the Southeast.
That's so exciting. I definitely want to check that out. I encourage everyone to do the same.
For sure. Watch out on our Facebook group. We'll post those details and make sure that you know the time to tune in.
And so Sue had a very specific question about, Kevin, your sourdough bread. She says she follows you on Instagram, and when she tries the sourdough starter, it's not working for me whatsoever. It's not growing. Do I chuck it and start again? Is that failed starter useless now?
No, not at all. It's sometimes you don't get the growth, but if she goes back onto my Instagram page, because there's 7 tutorials on our sourdough, and if you go to day 6, it will explain grating apples into your sourdough to get it to restart and to get it to grow. But if you just go back over the 7-day tutorials on how to make your sourdough, it works. We've had amazing interaction on the sourdough and lots of pictures through the Instagram, and we have the Instagram is going so well that we're actually now doing online courses. So if you go onto my Instagram page, you'll see on my profile bio, we've got a baking course starting on Monday. It's a 7-day baking course, and you can tune in and you get a private access to all the videos and recipes and stuff like that, and 2 live cook-alongs as well. So it's really worthwhile going on.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Kevin. And John's asking,
Yeah.
sorry, what show is Kevin appearing on? So John, that's Your Morning.
I missed that one, Don.
Oh, so John was just saying, sorry, what's the title of the show again?
Your
It's
Morning.
Your Morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, Your Morning, John.
Not Your Morning, John. Everybody's morning, but Your Morning.
And Ellen's asking, Kevin, is your book available in Canada?
Yes, it is. But also, if you go on to our website, so that's www.dunbrodyhouse.com, and you can actually order it online, and I'll personally sign them for you and mail them out to you. So, but if you go onto Amazon, they're available on Amazon.
Perfect. And Victoria, I think this question is for Sandra. Did you say there will still be a 14-day quarantine for those arriving?
At the moment, yes, Victoria. So we are reviewing it, or the government is reviewing it on a bi-weekly basis. So at the moment, it's a 14-day quarantine that is being reviewed again on June 18th. So as soon as we know more, we'll let you guys know.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandra. So I think that wraps it up for the submitted questions, but I'd like to thank all of the travel professionals that tuned in today. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day. And thank you so much, Sandra, for organizing this. And thank you very much to Kevin, Tracy, and James for your fantastic presentations. It was great having you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Guys.
And a bunch of thank you messages have come into the chat box as well. Thank you all, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.